All right, perfect. Hi, everyone who's watching us. We're glad to have our next interview, the interview number 21. It's been a long gap since our last interview that took place, I think, in mid August with Abdul. But today we have a guest with an outstanding professional background. His name is Maruf Yusupov. As our title claims, he's an award winning serial entrepreneur who helps startups grow an Islamic economy specifically. Welcome to our virtual stage, Maruf.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Hassan. It's an
Today,
honor
the
to
whole
be here.
attention will be on you. So, we want you to share your stories about your educational and professional background, as well as how your life abroad has been as an immigrant. Would love you to also share your knowledge and wisdom with the young members of our community so they can learn from you and grow. Our interviews are viewed by people of all walks of life, of different ages, and would love this to benefit pretty much everyone. So let's get started with some random warm-up questions to get you going, and they'll require short answers.
I
Uh,
answer. Okay.
yeah. Do you prefer texting or talking?
Can you repeat your question? Do you prefer what?
Do you prefer texting or talking?
Oh, uh, talking, I guess.
Talking, right? Okay. How many languages can you speak, and what are they?
Yeah. Uzbek, English, Russian, Turkish, Danish,
Oh wow,
and a little bit Arabic, a little bit Japanese. That's it.
wow,
That's it. Yeah.
impressive.
Yeah, seven. I would say five, maybe really good. Up to seven, a little bit.
Hmm. Got it, got it. On a scale of 1 to 10, how good of a professional are you?
That's a tough one. Uh, that's a good question. I think that question should be asked by people whom I work with because I can say whatever I want, right? I can say 10, I can say one. But I think as a general rule, you try to be your best, right? So I
Yeah,
would say probably 7, 8.
seven, eight.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you need to do to get to 10?
Well, I have to exit from this world, I guess, to the next one, because as a human being, you always a lot of problems, right?
Awesome.
We are not perfect. None of us are perfect.
Sure, sure, sure. That's good. That's good. At what age would you like to retire?
That's a good question. To be honest with you, I don't look at the retirement like everybody else. I'm not thinking of like okay, I'm gonna get 50, 60, then I'm not gonna do anything else. Instead, the way I looked at the question was, um, at what age I can do. I don't know. I want to look at the work as a work. I want to do something I really love. I think we will discuss these things at a later in the topic as well. And I want to do something I really love, so it doesn't feel like work.
Yeah.
And Alhamdulillah, I think I already reached that level. So if you look from that point, I'm already retired. I don't have to work if I don't want to, because I have business in place that can bring money without even me working.
Right.
But I still do work, and the reason is that for me, our purpose here is to do work, to serve people, right? Not just. So I think our retirement will be in the next life. That's the way I believe. That's the story I believe, and that's the story we'll discover more. So in terms of the question, there's a two sides. As when do you want to retire? I think I already retired. If you look at the conventional way of thinking. But for me, the real retirement is in the long run, not in the short one. So I want to keep working as long as I can because work for me is not 9 to 5, right? It's something I love, something I really enjoy working with people.
Right.
And sorry, it's a bit long answer, but yeah, that's what.
Okay. Sure. Sounds good. And we have five more questions to go.
No
Do you
problem.
prefer stock market or real estate market?
Mm, I work startup world. I work something else, and both of them are really actually good investment opportunities. Investment is like very very solid, and the next could be the stock market. I mean, if I have to choose one of them, it will be stock market. But I think eventually my passion lies where the even further for the stock market, where actually you help startups build value, early stages. That's what I'm really passionate about. So I have to choose among those two. It will be stock market, but I have to add another. It will be startups, entrepreneurs, very early stages where we're creating value. You go and help and build and fight the fight, the good fight. That's what I'm really excited
Yeah.
for.
Yeah. Fair enough. What does money mean to you?
Money is a means. You know me. Money means to me. It means it's a means towards something. I think that one of the best analogies I heard, I think from Simon Sinek, he says, imagine you have a car, right? The car is a business, and you want to go somewhere. You want to visit places. You want to do stuff, right? That's your goals, business goals. And to
Mhm.
do that, you need a gas, right? The money is the gas. And
Hmm.
because unfortunately, some people really get it the backwards because they think I need money. All my the purpose is money. Like as if you are saying you have a car. It's like the whole purpose of having a car is just to get the gas, right? It's not
Yeah.
true. What you
Mhm.
really want is you want to go places, you want to do stuff, you want to serve people. So money means that means to go somewhere towards
Mhm.
a higher goal. That's what it means to me.
Right. Right.
Nothing
Yeah.
else.
It's
It's
a
a
tool
resource.
to get to your destination, right?
Absolutely.
That
And
makes sense.
from Islamic point of view, I think we'll discuss that later on as well.
Sure.
We always we have to be careful, right? It has a double edged sword. It could be good, it could be bad. In the end, it's gonna be amplified for you what you do. It could be
Hmm.
money could be in your heart, which can corrupt, or money could be in your hand, right? Where as long as it stays in your hand, it doesn't
Hmm.
go to your heart. I think that's what our scholars used to say. That's the best place to be
Hmm.
for the
Very
money.
interesting. Yeah. And how often do you work out?
That's a good one.
Times per week, let's say.
Yeah. Actually, I'm gonna be honest with you, right? So I I wouldn't call it a workout, but I walk every day, right? 10,000 steps. It's not a workout. So in terms of workout, I actually recently started going out to working out. It's the CrossFit. I just started last week, so I'm planning to do it probably at least twice, maybe three times a week. So before that, if you were having the interview like 3 weeks ago, I wouldn't be working out. So
Hmm.
now I'm working out.
Gotcha. Cool. Cool. Which one is more important in life, being book smart or street smart? If you have to choose one,
Being what's for the first part? What's smart?
book smart or street smart?
Oh, I see. Street smart.
Hmm.
The
Okay.
reason is that the book sometimes may teach you theories, but until you see it in the real life, that
Mhm.
it doesn't. Because you have to be careful of on like what earned wisdom, which is not the right time. You may read a book, you may learn the wisdom stuff and all the cool stuff, but
Mm.
until you really realize it, until you understand, you haven't really implemented, right? That's the main difference between knowledge and the wisdom. You can know a lot of stuff, but until you actually do it, it's not wisdom. It's not implemented. That's why you call the street smart.
Street smart. Got it. And what does the motherland mean to you? Is it a geographical location or a set of values?
Yeah. For me, I think it is. It starts with the geography, right, where you're born. But at
Right.
the same time, for me, it's about people, right? It's about people whom you have grown up with, the people whom you
Mm.
shared, especially childhood with. For me, of course, it's Uzbekistan where I come from. Even though it's been when I went out from my country, like it's been in the beginning. You have to establish yourself what you're gonna do, right?
Right.
Until then, you're not thinking about anything else as much as you want because you have to help yourself. But until you're established, and you try to help. I think that's what's important for all of us. That once you are on your feet, you need to start helping out.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. When was the last time you read a book and what was it called?
Um, Yeah. So that's another thing about walking. I walk every day, right? When I'm walking, I'm actually listening books. So I actually read a book almost every week. I finish one book.
Oh,
So the last book I finished, it's called Storyteller Tactics, right? That's what it is. It's actually not a book. It's more like mm, instructional guidelines
right.
at the actually BBC journalist who wrote what kind of stories you can tell, what are the things. I've been reading them, I've been internalizing them. So yeah, I read one book per week. So
Wow. So when you say read, you listen to audio books, right?
mhm.
Okay. 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 Sounds good. Uh,
Exactly, that's the only way I finish a book. So every
right.
time I walk like 1 hour, 1.5 hour, usually typically books are like range from 3 to 5, 7 hours. So if you look at like one week, you can finish one easily one audiobook.
Oh wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. Super smart. You know, uh, super efficient. So this wraps up our warm up questions part, and I'd like you to introduce yourself, who you are,
Sure.
what you've been doing, and starting from your high school, college years, first job you landed, and the first foreign country experience, and maybe the first success story you have.
Yeah. Okay. Bismillah. So what? Well, how far do you want me to go back?
Let's start from your school years.
School years. Yeah. Okay. So school years, like wow, man, it's like almost 30, 25 years ago. So I come from originally from the southern part of Uzbekistan. You know Kashkadarya, right? The Kashi. That's where I'm born. I
Mhm.
used to study at just a normal public school.
Right.
Um, the school was good. A lot of good teachers, and also when I studied to be. I tried my best, right, in that regard. So one of the things I kind of learned is at school. I was, I come from a single parent family. I had nothing much. Like we were not really, we were kind of from poor family. So
Mhm.
for me, the way I was thinking is that for me to do something good for my family was through study, right? So I was studying really well. I don't know if you remember those times. If you studied really well, they would jump you from one class to another class. I
Mhm.
don't know if you remember those, Hassan. So for me,
Mhm.
in my case, I jumped first time from class five to from the one half of class five to the other half of class six. So you have to catch up. So I did it once, and
Wow.
another time I did another time from 7 to 8. I did twice. Uh,
Mhm.
it was good. It feels good in a school. But then they told me like, oh, we can next year we can do another jump, so you can really finish like very early, like 12, 13. So
Mhm.
something really interesting happened in those last years. There was a friend of mine. He was saying this summer. I said I'm going, and there was something came out like Turkish lycees. If you remember, I'm going in and applying. Would you like to come? Just out of blue, right? I said, okay, why not? I will come as well. I went there. I applied, and it seems that I passed. I was kind of accepted, but there
Mhm.
was a downside, right? If you go there, you would lose all those jumps. It would just take me from the like normal, according to my age. Then I have to make a decision like, should I stay in my school, like in finish early and all this flying colors, one of the youngest probably in Kashgaria to finish the school,
Mhm.
or I go to this new school where I lose all this progress, but maybe it's something new. So for me, like, can you imagine, right? Like it's like a dilemma you have to make. And one of the things I really liked about the Turkish lycée that when you go to even the interview, it was not about math. It wasn't about the things like memorize stuff, like what happened in this year, that year. But it was more like logical questions. I said I really like that approach. I said, you know what? I also know a person or two who used to study there, and I really looked upon them because those guys were different than anybody else. I said, you know what? It's okay. I'm gonna let it go. My progress in the normal school, then I will go to the Turkish, I think
Right.
it's called gymnasium or lycée, whatever you call them. So, oh boy, and when I went there, just trust me, when I went there, I understood the true power of the peers, the people around you. Like
Mhm.
I mean, in my school, I was the first when it comes to English and math, right? When you go there, like you get the best of the best, right? I was like in English, like I barely knew, like the English were like table and red and this and that. I was like bottom of the class, and it's like it it just gives you a really good reality check to your ego that you think you are the best, but um, you are not the best. You understand, easily. So that's why it's really important that to always challenge yourself not to be the smartest guy in the room. If you're the smartest guy in the room, probably you are in the wrong room, right? You want to change it because there's always people who are better than you. Uh,
Mhm.
that's why one of my teachers used to say, do not say you want to be the best, but say you want to be among the best, because you want to be among them. Don't think you are the only best. Forget about it, that mentality, but try to be among the best, right? So for me, that was like a huge mind shift. But alhamdulillah, I really, we used to study in Turkish Lycée. Like the first year, they teach you English, mainly English, 20
Mm.
hours per week, day in, day out. So I quite remember even our teachers, even to this day, we have this contact with them and keep in contact. So our
Yeah.
teacher, for me, like the first year, it's called Hazırlık. It was
Mm.
preparation year. It was a game changing. After the year, even in this class, in this school, in this class, my class, I was one of the among the best. So it was a transformational. Even today, like even right now, we are speaking English, and everything that happened after that because of that English, I attribute to that year, and I'm grateful for the teachers they did. I'm grateful for my um, classmates who kind of challenged me, to that, and I'm grateful to Allah Subhanahu wa Taala as well. So that was my school years, right? I come from this Turkish gymnasium.
Mm.
I wish that it continued, but as far as I know, it's not. But then I kind of when you go among the best, so you want to go to the best university, even though it's right or wrong. So in my case, it was I went to the World Economy and Diplomacy, right? And
Mm.
it was the best at that time. I don't know what is best right now. So that's where we went. And what I really figure out, Hassan, is that when you going for the best is not wrong, but once you understand, like if as long as it's best for you as well. For me, I didn't quite enjoy it because I was studying economics. For me, it was that's what is. You remember your question? You said the book smart or street smart. And it was the book smart. We were learning a lot of theories, right? But for
Yeah.
me, like it didn't. For me, I'm a person. I need to apply it. I need to see them in action. For me, it was too much theory. But something again, always there's something happening in your life if you're really noticing, right? For
Mm.
me, at that time, I was also really truly introduced to computers. At that time, because of my financial, I never had access to computers. So it was
Mhm.
also time the first colorful IBM Pentium 3 computers came about. Once I saw them, like, wow, this is something interesting. I really want to learn them. So we would have access. There was internet cafes. I would go there sometimes, sit hours, try to learn and menus, and it was like crazy. But one thing I know, I want to really learn whatever this is. But so I also knew that this is something I cannot learn here because do you remember like the school? And the school you are the best, but the school doesn't have a capacity to teach a new skill. You have to change the environment. For me, I thought if I really want to learn this IT, information technology, whatever it is, I have to go to the West or preferably America. That's where they are the leaders in this thing. But unfortunately, I didn't have money to go to study even the. So one another opportunity came about. Sometimes in life, you think your way, you want to go places, but there's small things happen. Like one of my friends used to say, you know what, Maruf, I know you are into computers. There's a thing going on, right? You might go and see. There was this delegation from Denmark. They were picking people and giving scholarships from the Queen, I think, to study in Denmark free of charge. I said, why not? I went there, and I was accepted because I told them openly, look, guys, I can speak English, but from computers, I don't know anything. Right? I'll be honest. Like, but I'm really passionate about this. I dream about this. Just give me a chance. So the conversation really good, was really nice. They said, sure, just we will accept you. And they said, only thing you have to buy your ticket, right? You have to go there. It's free. You study, and we give you a dorm for a while, free. But you have to buy your own ticket. Even I didn't have money to buy tickets, so I had to
Right.
drop my school, university. I did
Mhm.
drop that, and I have to go out and work 6 months at that time. I don't know if you remember, there was a U.S. Army and different parts of Uzbekistan. I went back to my place, and I actually worked 6 months to
Mm.
to save up money just for the ticket. It was amazing times. Like I would go to work, and it was like 500, 600. I don't remember, like maybe. So I bought the tickets, and I remember I came to Denmark. We're talking about 20 years now. Like in
Mhm.
2003,
Yeah.
June, it's gonna be 20 years. I came to Denmark. Everything's paid out. In my pocket, I have like 50 kronas, Danish kronas, which is around $7. That's it. With that one, so that's been the journey before I went out. Is everything okay? Like I don't want to.
No, 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 that's good. Yeah, no.
Should I keep talking?
No, just wanted to point out some of the things. So you grew up in Kashi, jumped from fifth to sixth grade, which is super impressive. I think like since you were young, like you were already talented, I guess, right? Or maybe super hardworking. Uh, and then you decided to go to Turkish Lyceum. I wanted to ask about this Turkish Lyceum because I've heard a lot about it, but and our generation time, I guess, like this wasn't a thing back in the
That's true.
day. I think in your time, I think it was a thing. What was special about Turkish Lyceums, and why why did you choose Turkish Lyceum? And I mean,
Yeah.
there's obvious reasons, but other than that, like, what's good about it?
So the one of the things I really learned from there is like you go. It's like a boarding school, right? You go there,
Yeah.
and in our case, it was just boys. There were no girls, just the boys. You study. You have like in your class, like 25 kids, and then they also encourage us to stay, not to go home, to stay. So you are immersed in that environment. For example, people who lived in the city, Kashi, they went home. Even though I lived in the city, I stayed there. That's why came to know my other friends, like from the regions, like, the Kitab, Shahri Sabs, and other things. They had to stay. I stayed with them. And people was, why were you staying? You are from Kashi, go home. So for home, like what I do, I would lose time in commute and home. I don't have this environment. I want to be among those people who are better than me, right?
Mm,
In math and this and that. We played soccer, but we studied together. We would study at night sometimes, like our teacher was really special guy, Mr. Selim Mural. I still remember, and we built a connection. So what he would do is, like, every week there is a test.
mm,
Whoever gets the first 3 points, they will get a gift, even a small gift. It's like a built-in competition, right? You're trying, like, who's gonna get the what. Like every week there's this thing coming up. So the whole environment, and I think that was the best thing for me. I think I did not know before going in, but I figured it out after being there. And also the way they teach is nothing local, not the local Uzbek curriculum, but it was from based on from Turkish, but the books we learned from were actually from Oxford. I remember they were from the Oxford. You were actually learning English from the main source, right, directly. And they
yeah.
were written like very simple terms. They would just go to the point, the grammar and other things. So it was kind of for us having the having learned from the Uzbek system, and then this it was such a huge difference. You understand the difference, right? That there were
Right.
the things,
Right.
like, for me, that stands out even until today. Yeah.
Okay. So there's a strong sense of community there, right? Everybody was like, you know, encouraging each other. That's good. It's super important. And one of the good things about going to college is not only the knowledge that you get,
Yeah,
theoretical knowledge, but also the sense of community. And but yeah, that's awesome.
that's true.
Okay, let's continue. Let's talk about your college years, and we were talking about your life in Denmark as well. What are some of the
So that's about 20 years ago now, like 2033. So imagine you like there'll be a lot of people who are listening from Uzbekistan as well. We always think we have to go out. There will be the grass that are greener and the rivers are filled with milk, and that's what you have in your mind when you're going out, right? I had the same, like, I want to go to Denmark. That's Europe. That's so cool, and
yeah,
and but the moment you go there, the I'm not saying it's like that. It is to some point, but also the reality check is different, right? For me, I'm 20 years old. That's my first time out of my family
mm,
going out, and especially you have no money, like $7. Why would you do that, right? Right now, I wouldn't probably take that risk, but at that time, you had nothing to lose. Like, I mean, what's the worst could happen? I cannot make. I will come back. They deport me. Come back to Uzbekistan. So, but Alhamdulillah, there were other people that were coming Uzbeks as well. I had to take some mm, debt, like, to start living. But you go there with a reality check. You say, okay, I'm here alone. I have to make it on my own, right? There's no other way. I don't have a father. I don't have a mother here or uncle who's gonna help me. And I think I believe those are the situations that make you the best in life. They will prepare you to be independent, right? For me, okay, I came like the next week. I was already looking for a job, right? And when you look for a job, you always get one, especially in these places, US and Canada or Denmark. That
Yeah.
my first job was like delivering newspapers.
Hmm.
You have to wake up like 4 a.m. in the morning. You have to deliver 300, 400 papers. Some of our
Oh,
neighborhoods, some of our like multi-story buildings, you have to go up. You don't have to do fitness. That's all
yeah.
fitness.
What years was that?
Sorry?
What years was that?
This is
Like
2003, 2004, right? Like 20
2004.
years ago. So this is where we start your career, right? That's the
Mm,
bottom of the chain. That's a
real life.
beautiful thing for your ego. Like try to put you in a place, the perspective. And in those times, you begin to think that why am I doing this? Like you go to leave the country, your own country, with a lot of sunshine. You come to Denmark with a lot of cloud,
Mm,
and you say, and you have to keep remembering that why you did what you did, right? It's like I came here for a better life. For me, it was like to come to study the computers, but also for me to go away from the corrupt government. To be on my case, like I said, I want to live good. If I want to get married, I want to live good. I want to make a living without cheating people, without taking someone else's thing, bribe. Right? In Uzbekistan, I couldn't see myself living a good life without taking a bribe at that time. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know. This was my understanding.
mm,
So you have to understand why you do what you do, right? For me, it was that point of view. So I finished the studies. It's like a 2 year study. I finished that, and after finishing, I started working at different smaller. What we studied there, it was multimedia design. So
hmm.
I have a design background. I started working with the smaller studios, who are web studios who are doing web, and you begin to go into actually the street smart. Whatever you learn, you begin to look into action.
Hmm. Yeah.
One thing for me, another thing interesting was that another lesson you learn is that making something just beautiful is
Yeah.
not good. We'll make something beautiful website. Sometimes it wouldn't work. Like I would say, what's going on? Then you begin to understand making something beautiful is not work. You have to think bigger in a way that who's coming to that website? Why are they coming? How are they going to use it? And I think this is the set of things you don't learn at school. At school, they will teach you the theories. Okay, you do this, you do this color, this and that, but they don't teach you the real how it works. For me, when I was looking at the studios, I began to say, okay, how can I make the website better? Then for me, the next step was learn analytics. Who is coming? Why they are coming? What's using? And I learned that. And then I would learn a little bit of coding, so to understand how the coding works and how all the come together.
Yeah.
Then later on, I would learn marketing, because the marketing actually teaches you why people come, why people use, and how it's going to work out, especially on the digital world, right? So this is all building up. Meanwhile, you grow your position, and in the West, when you learn to a certain place, you want to keep learning. Either you have to go up in the company. If the company is smaller, you have to go to a bigger company. For me, it was jump like that probably, and I know we have limited time, so I'm just trying to put it together. So it was like for me, the first 10 years in terms of career, I was starting from the smaller companies. In the end, I was working one of the largest, I would say one of the largest corporations in Denmark. It's called Vestas. What they do is wind turbines. If you've seen that big wind turbines, like 3 pillars,
Hmm.
they're number one in the world at that time, at least I remember. So I was working there at their web department, and as helping the web presence to make it better. So it was my last top of the top, good salary, good colleagues. It's a green thing doing, and then all the good things. So that was, I would say, the top of the career journey for me. About
Right.
10 years.
Hmm. So what year was that again? 10 years, starting from
So
what?
it's
What?
around 2012. I think that was the last time I had a official job. So another thing happened, Hassan, during this period is that uh,
Hmm.
for me, the one thing is the career journey. At that time, I was kind of feeling that even at the largest corporation, I was feeling that I kind of hit the ceiling. I want to do more. I don't know what. But
Hmm.
on the parallel side, you have your professional life, you have the personal life. For me,
Hmm.
there's something really interesting was happening in a way. It's been boiling up all these years. For me, it was as I said, when you're alone, when you're outside without the noise, everyday noise in around the neighbor, like a community, right? Like
Right.
you have this, you will get this chance of clarity to think, right? For me, it's like, why am I here? Not only in Denmark, like in life, what am I doing? What is the purpose of life? You want to understand because
Was that more of like a identity crisis or something, like
yeah,
mid-age?
yeah. For me, if you remember, right, like 9/11 happened 2001, right? And I went to Denmark 2003, 2 years after, but still you can see the remnants like on the TVs, big bird people coming
Right.
and very violently blowing up stuff, and you begin to like question, this is not the Islam I know, right? In
Mm.
Uzbekistan, we call ourselves Muslims, but we don't think that way. And there
Right.
was like different part of Islam they are portraying to you, which like you begin to question, even like maybe I'm in the wrong religion, because maybe it's not the right thing for me.
Mm.
Um, and I think if you ask me if you're a Muslim, I say yeah, I am Muslim. But to be honest, I don't really understand the, in the core values of Islam, which is like everybody, a majority of us. Are you Muslim? Yeah, I am. Everybody is Muslim. I'm a Muslim as well. So for me, like it was identity crisis, and for me, personal level journey, my spiritual journey, I would say I wouldn't want to go back to Islam because I thought if that is the one, probably I'm not going there. That's the whole purpose, right? They want to show you like it's something backward. And if you remember, we also in Uzbekistan we have been under Soviet Union probably many decades. It has also affected as well. Like it was religion was shown as something backward, something really kind of illogical thing. So, but for me, I'm more like a science. I said I want to understand what is why are we here. So I was looking into science and then like biology and evolution, but while it answers some questions, but it has a lot of loopholes in it. And I was saying that I jumped to cosmology, where
Yeah.
you go and as far as the Big Bang, right? Which was really fascinating. But beyond Big Bang, it's another speculation. Like, and then I think I read somewhere that science tries to explain how things might have happened, right? While religion is the thing that will try to give you a reason why. So if I wanted or not, I had to come back to religion slash philosophy to understand why. So even though coming back to religion, I really want to touch Islam. To be honest, I said I think I thought I knew, but I want to look at other religions. For me, when I started doing that,
Hmm.
I don't understand that in the world there are different types of religion. If you want to put into two baskets, one is monotheistic, the other one is like multiple gods, or some people bunch of things put together, right?
Right. Right.
And the question was that for me it was like as I said, I'm in my background, my designer. When I look at the world, I see cosmos, not chaos. Cosmos is ordered universe, right? I see what it is. I see the design, and when there's something beautifully put, there is someone who did that because you know how much effort it takes to make something beautiful and meaningful. The default state is the chaos, right? If you don't do things like goes here, but if you look at the nature, if you look at the stars, if you
Mm.
look at the system, they are working in a specific system, in a specific role. If you go up, you see that. If you go inside ourselves, if you look at the cells, if you look at those atoms, you see the same, the signature of the same designer, whatever you call it, right? And for me, that really makes sense is that signature. Okay, there is someone out there, right, that with this design capabilities, with this, and I don't know what or who, and of course in Islam you say good, but for us it's more like a fairy tale, right? Which you have to believe, you don't question.
Mm.
That's the part I didn't like it. So I was, and then also look at the history of religions, and you will notice that there's a source that keep sending messengers, and that's what I'm talking about. Abrahamic religions, right? The
Right.
same source keep coming, the same thing, different like upgrades. I would say the software, in a way. Um, so I was looking at Judaism and Christianity, and I will try to make it short, but I don't want to go into depth. But for example,
Mm.
Judaism would make sense,
Mm.
but you could not be a follower of the religion, as far as I knew, because you have to be from that ethnicity, right?
Right.
For me, it doesn't make sense. Like I believe that God should be, if it's just for everybody. I have no control where I'm born, right? To
Yeah.
what family I'm born. And for Christianity, what didn't make sense for me is the Trinity and all those things. And some of the passages in the Bible, like the prophets, how they're portrayed, I didn't, I couldn't swallow it, right? But
Yeah.
if I wanted or not, I had to. There was only one choice left. But I didn't want to go back. And but there was this point that I discovered somewhere discussing about scientific miracles in Quran. It's like that's interesting because coming back from Uzbekistan, I never looked at the Quran from that way. But you call the Quran is a religious book you can read. It's something good, and I think the other problem is that we don't understand. It's in Arabic, right? And we don't understand. So I think it was a lecture or book, I can remember. Like you begin to look at the scientific, and I begin to find out those things I learned from cosmology and biology, where they're
Mm.
discussing how the human embryo evolved, or even the expansion of the universe. Right? It's a quite new thing. And Allah Subhanahu wa Taala says in the Quran, "We are the one who created the universe with might, and we are the one who are expanding it." I said,
Mhm.
"Wow!" That was like for me, like, okay, so there's no way, like 1400 years ago, you can actually figure it out. It's a quite recent common phenomenon. So it was like connecting those dots. And for me, like personally, it's okay. That is something. It makes sense. And it was actually the first time I began to read Quran with understanding. To be honest, like, and it challenges you and asks questions. And then I said, okay, if this is a book from God, I want to ask why. What's my purpose? Do you remember my question I started? Why am I here? Like,
Yeah.
what's my purpose? That's
Mm.
what I wanted to ask, and that's when I asked that question. There's actually a couple of verses that address it. One of them is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, "I have not created the jinn and mankind except to serve me." Right? Some people say it's a worship me, but it's also to serve me. And the way of serving, I think, that for human beings is being kind to other people, being kind to other things, because God doesn't need service. It's in a way that explanation of the Quran about the purpose of being for humans on the planet is
Mhm.
that is actually a fascinating story. Is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I will explain it in detail. Before that, I just want to ask a question. Everything is, do you follow what I'm trying to say? Because I don't want
Yeah,
to.
no, I understand.
Oh,
We're
good.
connecting the dots. I think we got a good comment from Hamza, loving the explanation of how you started connecting the dots, how creation requires designer by questioning the foundation. So he came from like the existential questioning and through learning science and through being self-conscious and those are the very important questions that everybody will have to face in their lives sooner or later. But yeah, that's amazing. Thanks for sharing.
Okay. Okay. So for me, I think that that's another discovery was that in the when we begin to read the Quran and also look at the explanations. It's called tafsir of the Quran. What
Hmm.
really fascinates me, to be honest, it gives me goosebumps every time I read it, is that the Baqarah, Surah Baqarah, the second largest, the one you begin to read from the verse 31. um,
Hmm.
when this is when God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, says to the angels, I'm gonna paraphrase it to give you the way I understand it.
Yeah.
Once we understand the origin, this is what the origin Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, understand it, I
Mm.
believe it will shift the mindset to a different level. For me, it was like, so when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, remember when God said, um, I'm going to create a representative on earth, right? Imagine this conversation happening many eons ago in that presence, and the angels asks, why would you create a creature that's going to create bloodshed and all this bad things on earth while we glorify your name? Even the angels were asking that question, right? And you can read this verse very quickly, but you can actually deep think about it. Like what God was saying is, I'm not creating. So angels were saying, why are we doing that, right?
Mm.
And you look at the CNN today,
Yeah.
open CNN, you see exactly what they said, right? Somewhere there is a war somewhere in the world. There's all this bad things happening. The angels were saying that this is exactly what's going to happen, right? In CNN or whatever the news, if you look at Fox News. But then God says something interesting, right? God says, I know what you guys are revealing, what you are concealing, what you are telling, what you are not keeping to yourself. And so that's the verse interesting, right? And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala,
Say it again one more time. You're
so
revealed.
Allah responds to the angels, I
Mm.
know what you are telling, what you are hiding, like
Hiding.
concealing. You're
Okay.
not
Okay.
telling the whole story anyway, right?
Right. Yeah, that makes
And
sense.
and then God shows to Adam the names of the things,
Hmm.
right? And that's symbolism of the knowledge, the
Hmm.
potential of the knowledge you have and I have, each of us we have, right? And shows and asks them, and just tell me if you know the names of this thing. They say, we only know what you taught us, we don't know. And
Right.
Adam alayhi salam tells them, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks everybody to make a sajda. like a prostration to Adam, and everybody does except Satan, right? So that's
Hmm.
where the whole origin of the story is starting. And if you think deeper about, like, it's a symbolism is that um, Allah wants, and even asked God asked the Satan, why you didn't do it? Such the prostration. He said, because I'm better. I'm better than this creation, right?
Yeah.
So if you go back, take a step back and digest this, like, so from another verses of the Quran, also God says, yes, we are in the creation. We are parts, like we have the water, we have the other elements of the earth.
Right.
But there are verses in the Quran, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala says, I have breath from my spirit into Adam. Right? There's that element. Because some of the scholars say when the Satan looked at it, he looked at only the building blocks, like this flesh only. But God is saying, God has given us other things like a knowledge, and also
Hmm.
this the spirit, that's the soul, right?
Yeah.
And it just gives you good goosebumps. Like, and also, even though what the angels were saying, yeah, there will be bad people, right? There will be bad people among people, right? Like we see today. But is it the full story? Is it all there is? Is it all the people are bad and destroying stuff? And
Hmm.
some people may say yes, but the
Right.
reality is no. Look
Hmm.
at our progress, right? Let's look at our progress, knowledge, innovation, where we are today. Right now, we have, like, look, we are talking in Zoom or whatever this thing. 100 years ago, it wasn't possible.
Right.
With the knowledge, power, and accumulating and learning, now we are doing this, right? It's amazing, isn't it?
Through knowledge. Yeah.
We have the computers, we have the phones. Yes, they have the downsides, but they have the plus sides. And we built cities, we have built a civilization.
Hmm.
Are there problems? Definitely.
Hmm.
And but is there progress? Yes, there's a progress as well. And what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was saying is that, yes, it's not the full story though. There will be bad guys, but there will also be good guys as well, right? And the reason I believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked angels to prostrate is that, and humankind, as we have something else. Unlike
Hmm.
angels, we believe the angels doesn't have the free will, right? It's like that they are very they are very, very high ends of, like, high end robots. Like, they don't, according to our belief, they don't have a free will. Like God says, they have to do it, right? Even though
Hmm.
how mighty they are, but humans are different. Maybe they're not that powerful in physical, but we have the free will, right? We have the free will to choose what to do, right or
Right.
wrong.
Yes.
So the key point is here. Actually, key point is here. If humans, given for the free will, even with all this choices out there, if they're gonna choose the good, those guys are better than angels. Then Adam alayhi salam was like that, right? So and I think that the creation of humankind for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he wants to create something even probably better than angels, but still wanted to. Some of the scholars says God wants to be known, right? The angels
Hmm.
know them, but not by this thing, but people yearn to want to know the creator, to want to know, come to closer to the source by will, not by force. Because imagine, Hassan, you're not married yet, are you?
No, not yet.
Not yet. So hopefully, inshallah, when you get married, you understand when you are in a relationship with somebody, right? You cannot force somebody, right? It's like from both sides, it has to come, right?
Me too.
That side has to show some the liking, and the other one as well. And this becomes the real muhabba, what we call the love, right? You cannot
Right.
love one side and the other side doesn't respond. Like, yeah, this one-sided thing. It's like a two-sided thing, right? So what Alessandra was showing with the symbol is that, and the real lesson I learned from this is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with his infinite knowledge, knew there will be bad guys, right? There will be all these things. What you are saying is actually part of the test. Otherwise, there's no way. How would you know whether Hassan is a good guy if there's no bad? How would
Hmm.
you know? Why the
Hmm.
Hassan is right now talking to me and doing other his works instead of going and robbing a bank? Why not? Why am I sitting here and doing something bad, right?
Yeah.
So even though there are some bad things, there will be, though, the portion of the people that will be good enough, even with their own free will, they still want to do good. They still want to know. There's one also thing I also discovered is that's really fascinating for me, that many of us may not know. It's like in Islam as well. There's we know there's psychology, but there's Islamic psychology who studies the human beings, right? Who,
Yeah.
remember, comes to the origin of who are we? Are we just the bodies, like physical bodies as me, or there's
Yeah.
something more? From this Islamic psychology, the like Imam al Ghazali, they understand this. humankind, we have the body, we have
Mhm.
the mind, intellect, and we have the soul, right? Let's remember that we tell that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the breathing the soul. And we
Right.
have the ego, lower part of our ego. So it's a constant battle from
Mhm.
the upper self against the lower self. And in between, you have the body, we have the mind, we have the heart. That's kind of calibrating the whole stuff. And God says in the Quran, there are different souls. There are nafs al-lawama, nafs al-ammara bil-su, nafs al-mutma'inna. So like
Mhm.
depending, like there's this thing like the soul, whoever purifies their soul, they are the winners. It means that everything we do, right, Khasan, in the world, that is either takes us to good side or the bad side, right, to some level.
Yeah.
So if we don't purify our hearts or soul, it will get eventually dark and we'll begin to do bad things. And then when I was a kid, I said, how the bad people doing all the bad things? Why don't they understand it, right? When
Yeah.
reality is that they keep doing bad stuff without worrying and caring much. And even for them, the bad things doesn't seem bad. Does it
Mhm.
make sense?
Yeah.
So humankind, this is what the infinite game we are discussing as well. The whole infinite game was that the our fight is not out there, it's like inside, like it's like your upper self is always fighting against the lower self, right? Am I going to do amazing things, or I'm going to be lazy, don't do, or do bad things? So all those types, like our where we want to go is that we want to be figure this out. We want to be like in a state where we are the tranquility, serenity, to understand. It's like a matrix, so you understand the world, where it is, where you come from, where you're going, but also
Mhm.
understand that everything that happens to you is a part of the test. That's where we are going back. And for me, that putting it, understanding all together, we were talking about 10 years ago, I was coming to understanding is, okay, if that is the case, I want to do something just for this purpose. Whatever, I didn't know what it is, to be honest. Like
Mhm.
I said, you have, in Islam we make du'as. You make the dua to Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, say, Allah can just open my way and heart and mind, so I will serve you in that way. Be closer to you, understand this, and even though you don't know what it is, to be honest, at the time. So that was my journey, spiritual journey, that understanding from not knowing what it is, but trying to understand your purpose in life,
Mhm.
and then try to do something with it. So yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks for a very detailed explanation. I could see you came to religion with self consciousness and learned through learning science and through rational thinking, let's say, right? And then if and I like your phrase: if you don't purify your heart, you'll eventually do bad, right? And it's
It's like
so
you're going in a car example, right? It's a frosty, it's a foggy, it's rain. It just
yeah.
keeps, you have to clean up, right? If you don't, you don't see, you will go and crash.
And even in our professional lives as well, right? So you
Absolutely.
just always have to grow. If you don't grow, you always go 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 down.
Absolutely.
It's all about progress. It's all about constant progress, and I love it. I love the message. And there's always a constant battle between the higher self and the lower self. I 100% agree, and it's awesome. It's awesome. And I don't want to be ignorant of some of the questions that are coming. I think
Okay.
the first question that we had was from Sardar Dovlatov. Let's pull it up. How come that a man with design degree got into halal industry? I don't think halal is an industry, but what he wants to say is like,
Mm,
the halal ad business that you
sure.
are involved in, let's say.
Assalamualaikum, Sador. It's a good question. And a quick answer is, in life, you don't know, man, what's gonna happen. If you ask me like 20 years ago, I'm gonna end up in Denmark, then in Canada. I don't know. That's life, and you have to be open. So don't define where you are today is gonna define what you're gonna do, right? You just have to follow the path. In my case, yeah, I had a design degree, but as was explaining in the journey. So even though I studied design, but I have to expand it in analytics and marketing, right?
Hmm.
And how it all come to the halal or Muslim industry, Islamic economy, we call them, was about 10 years ago when I realized that my job is like to serve God
Hmm.
by serving people, right? And for me, I want to serve the underserved economy. For me, I believe there are 2 billion Muslims in the world and they are underserved. And it's all coming back to my first impressions when I came to Denmark, how the media, mass media showed Islam And so that's actually a point I forgot to tell you, Hassan, is that when you realize that all of these things, after you understand, Islam actually is not what they're showing on the TV. They're trying to hide something. They're showing like they are not telling, like the angels did a similar, like they saying, oh, it's all bad and barbaric. No, but when you go to the core of Islam, it's nothing like that. Yeah, there may be some very very tiny minority who are doing all the bad stuff,
Yeah.
but in every community you have this bad stuff, but you don't blame the whole brush, the whole community, the 2 billion people. If 2 billion people were here to explode everything, we'd have already finished the world, right? But that's not what we do. We are like everybody. We have a dream, we have a life. We want a families, we want to live a good life, right? That's what we want to do. So for me, that I wanted to fight this bigger fight, the mass media showing the bad side of Islam. We wanted something good. That's why about 10 years ago, we started our first project to create a social network and the halal industry to show the other side of Islam. That project kind of didn't work well, but we learned a lot, right? From that part came the first company we started. It's called Halal Ad, like a marketing agency for Muslim companies. And my background in IT and marketing really helped me a lot. So that's the answer. Like answer is like I expanded, and also there was opportunity underserved community, my community, Ummah. We called Ummah Super Nation, right? So it connects not only Uzbeks, any Muslim, wherever the nations are. It's another beautiful thing about Islam is that as long as you believe in God, that you are my brother or sister. So it doesn't. So we work on that level, not the national level, the borders, but also the what you believe in, right? So it's called the Ummah. So we want to work on that level as well. So I hope that answers the question.
All right. So the short answer would be like Muslim business world is underserved, and that creates an opportunity, and you wanted to take advantage of the opportunity. And,
but also that's something I really wanted to serve, right? Do you remember I told you like I didn't know what it is. It seems like it's a good opportunity. I said, why not?
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. It's awesome. And since we started talking about your business, I think that's one of your main businesses, right? Is Halal Ad. I took this. Like, what do you call this? Statement from your website. I just wanted to read it out so that you can just go ahead and point some of the things out. As you can see, halal economy is growing year after year. It's solely driven only on ethical choices by consumers. However, when it comes to advertising, we don't have ethical ad network for this growing halal market. This is what halal ad is all about. On one hand, majority Muslim publishers were using Google's AdSense since there was no alternative. Occasionally, their Muslim audience were exposed to some ads that are not halal. On the other hand, Muslims advertisers didn't have a single platform where they can create an ad and distribute on all small to large Muslim websites, portals, forums, blogs with a single click until now. And I like the thesis for the website and for the business itself. And that's very much self-explanatory. Anything you want to add? Anything you want to share about this business?
Sure. So this is where we started, right? This is where we started to create the ad network because people were coming and complaining to us. There are very, very successful mobile apps. They have millions of downloads. They're showing Google AdSense. And sometimes imagine you're checking out your prayer times, an ad will come up like promoting wine or naked women, like asking for marriage, which didn't make sense, right? Like on the one side you do this, on the other side you do that. So our first task was to create that ad network, and this is where we started. But that was actually today that's the very small part of our business. It actually evolved again. So then soon people will coming asking, can you guys do the marketing as well? Other parts of advertising. What they meant is, ad network is good, but it's growing. But can you help us with the Facebook? Can you help us with the Google ads? Can you help us this and that? And we also begin to take that kind of projects in-house and actually help us grow our business very soon. And so by doing that, alhamdulillah, we worked with a lot of world-renowned brands like UN or Unilever. They're not Muslims, but they come to, do you want to target the Muslims? For example, at UN, they have this charity, UNHCR. We help them raise funds as well. And then, and also even the Muslim economy, alhamdulillah, we get the chance of working with some of the really well-known brands. They're doing amazing things. They're creating modest fashion. They're creating entertainment for kids, or some of them are creating like halal Islamic finance. So one of the companies we give a good example is like Wahid Invest, right? They started, we were one of their first marketing agencies. We helped them grow hundreds of thousands of clients. And alhamdulillah, they are on their way to be the first unicorn, I would say, in the Muslim economy. They are right now valued around $400 million, alhamdulillah. So we get the chance to work with this kind of brands. It gives us a good exposure. And last but not the least, I want to finish with that as well. The last 3-4 years, what I really shifted in my personal. Do you remember I told you like your story? You have to know your story. I think even though it started in marketing, like recently, I looked into myself. I tried to learn what I really add value is that a lot of young startups coming up in the Muslim economy, because Islamic economy is growing, right? Now it's probably over $3 trillion. It's a huge economy, potential untapped, and a lot of startups are coming through. And I see my role now in a way as an advisor and a marketing partner that can come and help them. And we already did a couple of the partnerships, some of the companies like Quran Era or the Musaffa, alhamdulillah, they're growing as well. And now I'm more, the halal ad part, it's working on its own. We have the team who manage the thing. I'm more shifting towards the working with a lot of startups and entrepreneurs and helping them to come and to grow in the Islamic economy, because we believe the Islamic economy, halal ethical economy, is the economy which is good not only for us but also for the other people as well, right? It's green, it's organic. That's why it's like a movement, it's like you have to believe that this is what's going to be. And we see ourselves as a part of that journey. With whoever going that direction, we are part of the journey, enable us and help us to get to that stage. And more importantly for me is that I want to help Muslim brothers and sisters, they're Uzbek or not, it doesn't matter, is that who wanted to really, first of all, discover their stories, like I did, like why am I here, right? If you look at my journey, it started like, okay, my purpose in life is to get to know God and serve Him.
Right.
The more precise, in my case, like where I'm really, I guess, where I would say put myself is like I'm marketing/strategy in entrepreneurship and in the Islamic economy. This is where I am. I also work as advisor, right? That's my story. That's how I want to help. And there are people who are building. For example, recently we started working with an app who are creating Muslim mindfulness app, right? Imagine like something like called on Headspace. They want to create. There are probably 400 million Muslims around the world who are stressed personally, and they're creating an app to help them from the Islamic perspective. They're teaching them in a good puts ease instead of the general knowledge, like the psychology. So, like the everyday psychology, they took out the God out of the equation, right? They just want to say, hey, don't worry, don't say, take a pill. We don't believe in. We believe instead of calling them back to God. Like even God's in the Quran, verily in the remembrance of God, do hearts find peace. Actually, you are stressed in that position is that most of them, there's some clinical issues I'm not talking about, but majority of them, I told you, like when the soul, we have this, believe it or not, that there's this thing that we have the soul that wants to know God, right? If you don't open the channel, right? And then you are what you are doing is actually you are blocking it. That's why people block it by doing alcohol and drugs, and because that thing you want to get that experience, right? If you don't do it the right way, and you will find another way, right? So so what I'm saying is that my role and the story has been shifting from mainly just as an agency, more like helping startups. That's why you mentioned that we are coming up with the entrepreneurs and creating this hub for the early startups and help them grow and hopefully and serve millions of in return, in the long term.
Absolutely. Wow. And what you're saying is the Muslim business world is estimated at 3 trillion US dollars. Is that what it is?
I think so. So there's this website, you can check it out. It's called Dinar Standard. This is one of my mentors, Rafi, and he and his team usually every year they make an Islamic economy report. You can check it out. I think the last time we checked, it was like about 3 trillion. There's a huge opportunity. Yeah. And it's growing as well. Every year, what's happening around the world, Khasan, is that more and more Muslims they are into middle class and some of them the upper class. When we are doing that, we are voting by our money. We want to buy halal meat. We want to be not only halal meat any longer. We want the halal entertainment. We want to buy halal financial options. Right? It's coming. We are a little bit behind, probably 10 years from the mass market, but it's coming. It's coming. So there's an opportunity for a lot of
Yeah.
entrepreneurs, right, who want to go into Muslim economy, and this way, I mean, the way I see this is like the best with the both worlds. You are doing this, like you will get a reward, like
Yeah.
with the financial reward in this world, and then also the long term, right? So that's the way. As a businessman, you have to always mitigate your risk, and that's the way I look at it. It's a
Yeah.
for those who are interested, and it's an opportunity as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We already hit the 1 hour mark. We don't really have to finish it. That's fine. We can just stretch it to another 10 minutes to just,
Absolutely.
whatever that's been discussed. And yeah, I agree. Like technology is like accelerating all these like processes, and the Islamic economies are growing fast. Partly due to, I guess, is the growing demographics in the Islamic world, right? And part of the reason why the you know Islamic countries population is growing that fast is because the family institutions are pretty strong, as opposed to like the Western countries, Western cultures, which I admire personally. Even though I live in the West, I notice it. The family institutions are kind of in crisis, and that's part of the reason is because there's no bigger purpose in people's lives, and people do whatever. People have different philosophies out here, and unfortunately one of the bad things that's happening out here in the West, where we live, is the family institutions are failing. And one of the very important things that religion serve is keep the families strong and keep the roles, the family roles, uh, uh, healthy, which is great. Yeah, that's awesome. I think we don't want to miss some of the questions that are being asked.
So, can I add something quick before we
Yeah, yeah,
jump?
right, good.
Because the title we said, the infinite game of life and how to play in win-win. So I want to mention that because we promised that to do that. So the whole thing we are talking is the way you discover the infinite game is a game. When we call it infinite game of life, is that the reason why with the title that is was, what I think the problem with us, one with people the current day, like somehow there's this force, some people may trust or not, there's this negative, whatever the force, the Satan that influenced in the world,
Yeah,
they made us believe the world as we're living, the lives are we're living, a very boring existence. We have to just barely survive, man, and from 9 to 5, whatever you call them, and then from time to time get a glimpse of in the weekends, or do a drug or whatever, right? Just escape this reality. But in reality, the life right now you're living, if while you're watching this, you for me, you for you, Hassan for me, the only real thing is this moment right now, right?
yeah,
That's only one chance we get in life, right? And so what I'm saying is that thing has been kind of shown to us as a boring and this thing, but in reality it's the only thing we have. And that's what we call infinite game of life, because we all of us want to play a game. And why is that? It's because it's fun, right? It is fun. And even the term infinite game is that it's a game. You should check it out. There's a book called by Simon Sinek. It's called The Infinite Game. He
I've
discussed
heard of
that there are finite games and infinite games. Finite games like soccer, the chess, where you play each other, and someone wins, someone loses. But infinite game is a game that you play a long term without the end, at least in this one. Like it could be business, it could be life itself, right? Like we are playing. And in this game, especially as from Muslim perspective, our game is to understand where we are going, right? Where we come from, where we're going. We're going back to the source. When we're going back to the source, the rules of the game is, I told you, higher
it.
self versus the lower self. What the higher self wants, you want to do good thing. The lower self wanted the bad thing. Is that there's this saying that the one guy said, inside you there are the two wolves. They're barking at you, right? Which one is gonna win? The good one and the bad one is that whoever you feed the most. If you feed the good one, is gonna be strong and win. So it's similar. So our job is that understand that we are here for a short term. We're not here to stay. We're just strangers, right? We're just moving. The time is coming. I'm almost 40 years old now. I don't know how much. I have no idea. It's just eventually death is there. It's like the game stop. Until then, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? Where are we gonna be? So for those, we have to understand that part, right? And also do the things that make sense. And for me, Islamic point, as I was saying, is that right now we understand right now, but we may forget in a while. That's why you have this daily check-in with God, especially in Islam. That's one thing I like is that 5 times you have to check in and remind yourself you are in
Mhm.
this game. Hey, good happens, alhamdulillah. Bad happens, alhamdulillah, because everything is from God, and we are resetting our mindset, right? We
Yeah.
are resetting, like every 5 times a day you have to resetting and reminding you, hey, it's okay. It's whatever is you're going through, just go through. If you're grateful, you still get the reward. And anything you do according to what God wanted and with the right intention, it's your service. Don't worry about the glazy things and being famous or being rich, but your test is this. Whatever you're going through, that's your test, right? And the binding it with the how to play and win-win is that in this life, another rule is that here's the thing, Khasan. Look, if like in this infinite game, I'm not playing against you, right? There's nothing that if I win, you have to lose. Like in soccer, you have to lose. You're watching soccer. There's only one champion. Here, God says it doesn't matter if all of us could go to Jannah, no problem. Like if all of us go to like Jahannam, is no problem. So what I'm saying is, but there's another rule. Like if I help Hassan to
Mhm.
go to Jannah, with the right intention, and I will get to Jannah as well. Or
Mhm.
it doesn't make sense. So that's why we call the win-win. The idea is that the changing the mindset, like we have to look at each other. I have to look at you. You have to look at me. Is that we have a potential good in us, right? Allah Subhanahu wa Taala created new all of things. They created anyway because I believe Allah Subhanahu wa Taala believed in humanity, the good we do, and even before we believed in Him, right? Imagine like Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, even though He knew all the bad things happen, but He knew with His own wisdom there will be good people as well, and we hope we are among those good people, and we also hope that, man, as I'm telling you, this thing when we understand is that once we understand this infinite part of the game, like as long as you're on this journey, even the God created that game, that for God, like we know the infinite, like His time wise, like everything is decided wherever you want to go, etc. So the question is you, like where are we going to end up? Where it's up to us at this point if we take this seriously or we don't. And to do that, you don't have to take somebody's thing. You can help and you can be good and you can help other people win and you
Right.
still win. There's a different mindset. It's like a scarcity, it's like a growth mindset. It's like
Mhm.
infinite. So we have to look at the world from that point of view. I don't talk only Muslims, I talk to everybody. We have to, when we look at the human being, look at the potential good in them, what could come, and look, we have to look at from that way and we have to work together.
Mhm.
And that's what changed my mindset. Like instead of I'm trying to be the best, I'm actually helping others because this is where I see the purpose and meaning in my life. To be honest, and I
Mhm.
think in all of us we can do once we figure out our purpose in life and what we're really good at, and we actually do that thing, and the life suddenly becomes not something you boring, something you leave, something you look forward, something you are happy to wake up. I'm not going to say that life becomes easy and no problems. No, problems will always be there, but you don't look at the problems as problems. It's like they're opportunities, right? No matter what you're going through, it could be money, it could be this and that, but the first thing is this belief in yourself. That's what Allah SWT says. You have to believe. What it's not just by words. It's like you have to change your mindset. We call the heart set or the soul set first. It doesn't matter what you're going through. It will have a different meaning to you.
Yeah.
Suddenly, as they say, the pain is real. I'm not saying the pain is not real, but suffering is optional. You don't have to suffer. Even you're going through, look at the history, look at the prophets, look at all the Sahaba going through hardship. But if you look at their heart, if you look at their experience, it was different things. So it's like about us, about inside, like how you look at the world and how you live it, not the outside. The problem is that with the current world, we look at the outside and say, "Oh, I'm gonna be happy when I get there. I'm gonna be happy when I have millions of dollars." No, if you
Mhm.
cannot find your happiness right now, being content what you have right now, you will never find it. And that's another lesson I learned. Right, that I that there were times I am rich. I was poor. But in another point, it's not about what you have. It's about your relationship to what you have, or your attitude, your worldview that defines where you are. What's gonna game your play. So that's what I want to put it out because it's what we promised. We can go back to questions. Sorry.
No, yeah, absolutely. Thanks for the answer. And someone was asking, I think they missed. Sorry if I missed the part because I was in and out. Sorry, the brothers Maruf in Denmark or Canada. So you're in
Yeah,
Canada.
that's a good question. It's in Canada. I used to be in Denmark, but I moved almost 3 years ago to Canada now. I'm in Canada.
Yeah, and your target market when it comes to your business is what the U.S. market, a Canadian market,
Worldwide.
world.
We serve worldwide. There are a lot of Muslims around the world. 2 billion Muslims, so we serve all of them.
Okay, perfect. And one of our board members, Shahadat, was asking, what are some of the goals that you're currently working on pursuing?
Good question. So my goal in life is to help. So it's for me, it's impact. Right? We do already help a lot of startups. For me, that to make
Yep.
an impact, inshallah, that I want to be a part of and help 10 startups that we can make. We call them unicorns in the Islamic economy. That's my goal.
Okay, wow, 10 unicorns. Within
Yeah.
how long? For the next 10 years?
Next 5 to 10 years. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. That's awesome. And let me see if I'm missing any other questions. I'm not sure if that question is relevant. Sardar is asking, why did you stop Teenpreneurs podcast?
That's a good question. We haven't stopped, but we're taking a pause. The Entrepreneurs podcast, it started with a different name, but we recently changed the name, and now we are getting. So if you watch the Entrepreneurs or that podcast, most of the people we interviewed was people who already made it, who are actually doing community leaders. But now it's changing the focus to people who are in the making, right? Now I will be bringing more entrepreneurs who are in the making. You can see them. They haven't probably made the big things yet, but they are in the making. I think that one gives us a bit closer. Those interviews you had, it was like their stories, back stories, how they did it. But now we'll be focusing more on how they are doing it right now. So more people will be inspired. Hopefully, if they are doing, I can do it as well. So it's not paused. It's not stopped. It's paused. It will be probably resume in the Jan or on February with the new guys.
I see. Okay, perfect. Hope we answered the question. And so the following like a few questions will require pretty short answers. If you could, please. What keeps you productive every day? Big Zad is asking. He's also one of our board members.
What keeps you productive every day? I'm like everybody else. Like there are moments you wake up, the gloomy day, like you may feel down. You don't want to do the stuff. One thing I really kind of learned is life is we think, right? We think first I'm gonna feel good, then do stuff, right? We say first emotion, then motion, but in reality, it's opposite. It's like first you do the motion, then you becomes emotion comes. So what I mean by that, for example, as I mentioned, I work every day, right? Like 10,000 steps. So the reason I keep doing that is that gives me that thinking and going out and getting fresh air and doing like gives me thinking what like reminds me why am I doing what I'm doing, and that actually gives you a little bit thing. And then also as I said, started doing for example, if you do anything, running, whatever works, swimming, do the motion first, and emotion comes, because emotion doesn't come like if you just wait and inspiration like a bulb, like I don't believe in that. Instead, it's hard. You have to do it. Once you begin to do it, and then it will take a snowball effect, right? And there's a book actually, if you guys want to read, one of my really most favorite books about this exact same issue. It's called Stephen. I forgot his surname. His book is called Persistence. Read about that, like how he talks. He's a writer. He talks about looking at the blank screen, what to do about it, right? He talks about this force in our psyche that prevents us doing things, and then how he is fighting it, and it's very helpful.
Steven Spielberg, that's his?
No, not Steven Spielberg. I forgot, but I will, Khasan, I will give you the link to the book. You can share with the Big Zot and the people listeners if you want. So, but that's a good book. It's about persistence. It's exactly like that. Like, how do you make yourself productive? How do you get up and take that first action? Write a couple of lines or do whatever you're doing, right? Otherwise,
first motion, then emotion. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Not emotion, then action, emotion, but actually emotion, then emotion.
And another question, I think the ESG, environmental, social governance, is being a trend these days. As for ESG requires being transparent. Can it be a synonym to halal? your thoughts about ESG, if you have anything to say.
Yeah, mindful social governance. Look, I'm not a scholar, so don't take my words
Right, right.
really. So if you go back to halal, right, what halal means is it means permissible, right, according to Islamic law. And ESG could be halal or not.
Mm,
If the ESG's rules are according to that Islamic rules, then it's
mm.
halal. If it's not, then maybe it's not. So yeah, I would not. So if you have a specific rule, you can ask. Not you don't have to ask me. You can ask local imam or anybody. I mean, and if it is halal, then halal. If it's not, not. Just give example. I give example. For example, if because that's why we don't call it ethical. We call halal. The reason is that sometimes ethics is based on good values. In some places, it could be ethical, right? In some countries, it could be ethical to give food to people, right? It's good, but some of the beliefs they can give, for example, pork, because it's a pork is a part of the food and give. But according to Islam, it would not be halal, and you know why? Because pork is forbidden, right?
Yeah.
So we have to be careful when we begin to use as a synonyms,
Mm,
and also look at the case by case. And then the good thing is we should try to approach our local probably scholars. So because you have to look at Islam, not only the one rule everybody, so you have to look at the locality and the context as well. So
Okay, perfect. Perfect. Thanks for the answer. Farhad is saying Maruf is one of the high achievers from Kashkadarya region of Uzbekistan. Great of you.
thank you, but I think the to be honest, the right answer is probably not, because there are a lot of people who are not here who may not speak English with Khasan. But I believe, as I said, inshallah, there are a lot of people, and it will inspire a lot of people as well to be and come here share the stories. But thank you for the good words.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the part where I get to ask questions.
Oh, okay.
I like to ask, but please try to be, as brief as possible. Based on my personal observation, what determines people's success and their habits more than wait, what determines people's success is their habits more than their talents or knowledge. So, what are your three strong habits that you follow through on a regular basis? If you could count, or
Sure,
shoot,
sure.
however many.
Walking every day,
Hmm.
being grateful to God and other people
Hmm.
as much as I can. And the last one would be keep learning. So even I'm walking, I said I'm learning. So I'm learning. I'm learning. Yeah. So as if I've looked at, there's so much you don't know, and you always be open minded and learning.
Okay, just learning, right? Awesome. And how important is it to read and be updated?
Um, as I said, learning. So it is. So look, it's about also
I
what you
see.
read. It's also
When I
about what
see,
you read, right? There are people who may read every day. They may read
right,
just a newspaper or whatever it is. I don't read newspaper, to be honest, because I don't watch TV, especially news,
yeah,
because that's the grim story. Instead, I looked at the larger. There's another book. Actually, I really encourage everybody to read that book. It's called. Uh, I forgot the name, man. There's this from
we'll link once
yeah,
you.
I would think so. So this book is from the Swedish scientist. Some of you may have seen his TED talk. I like
Mhm.
the guy because he doesn't look at the current trend. But look at the force view. It says how the humans have evolved. What are the things we are doing?
Right.
Um, it's something with the fact. Yeah, it's called factfulness. Probably it's called factfulness with a yellow book.
Mm.
We will find out and we'll link up Hassan with his
Right.
people. Read this book, and what I'm saying is, this is the things I want to read. I want to see the bigger picture where we are going, not
Mm.
tiny details. Who in the society someone stole something. There will be always like that, but we have to look at the bigger picture where we're going, right?
Mm.
And we know that why the media shows that, because this is story sells, right? It keeps like you look at the world. If you watch TV as a hell, right? Something is burning, something exploding, but look at the world. Just stop watching TV. Look
Mm.
around. Do you see this? No. It's a big lie like put upon us. But you see, watch the world. You will see people doing amazing stuff. The kind people doing stuff. And the one also saying, I think one of the scholars I heard is that beautiful people see beautiful things. Right? It depends how you look at the world. If you want to see the bad things, it's up to you. That there is no end to bad things as well. But those bad things we have to fight against. I'm not saying we should ignore them, but don't just keep watching those parts. So the answer to your question, if in a reading, we have to watch, you have to be mindful like about your what's coming into your mind, right? You don't want to go and read someone commenting and gossip. Don't do that. It's just going to crap you as well.
Yeah.
Instead, see what you really care about. 'Cause our life is very short. Find out who you are, what you stand for, and like what's your journey. Do you know what your journey is? A lot of people, I'm sorry that a lot of people look at the big stars or Ronaldo or Messi or
Right.
this and that. They want to live their lives. That's all good to for momentary, yes. But what is your story? I mean, I'm telling you, like, what's Hassan's, what's Maruf's story? And how are you gonna be the main hero in your story without following somebody just blindly just doing that? How can we be that? And I believe each of us, if Allah wants to create us, we have a potential to find that story is and live that story. Once you're living that story, you don't have to watch the news what other people are doing. Like, there was a saying that Hassan, there are people who discuss other people, and there are people who discusses the events, and there are people who make those events. And I pray to God that we, all of us who are listening and who will listen or watch this, take a really understanding of what life is. We don't want to be people who are discussing other people's events. We want people who are making the events. And I hope it are good, and I hope we will become the um, main heroes in our stories. That's what I think God wants from us, not like just living mindlessly. I'm sorry, just took an tangent, but
No, yeah, absolutely. That was a good, I think, conclusive statement. And Hamza is saying 1 hour doesn't do justice to the speaker. We should bring him back for a longer podcast. We'll definitely keep that in mind, and for sure, would love to get you back on our virtual stage again. And yeah, let's wrap it up. I'd like to point out some of the things, some of the bullet points that you said. So that was great talking to you, by the way. It was 1 hour. Again, that's not enough. We could have talked a lot about the business side of your, professional background. But yeah, our purpose is to serve in this life, and one of the purposes is being kind to each other. Uh, if you're the best in the class, you're in the wrong class. So try to surround yourself with people who are better than you. Uh, you have to understand why you do what you do. I love this. I get this. I learned this message from Simon Sinek. I'm one of the
yeah.
big fans of him, and he always keeps saying that you got to know why you do what you do.
Do you know why?
Why say it again?
Do you know why you have to understand? I mean, you have to know why you do what you do. You know why is it important?
Uh, yeah. I mean, everything starts from why, right? That's the reason for
Because
your
because how is the difficult part. It will make you endure the how. As Nietzsche said, those who know their why, their how becomes easy. Otherwise, the how is the most difficult part. The why is the easy part, isn't it? In a way.
absolutely. Yeah, and Maruf came to the religion with self consciousness, learning science, and of course, there's been some crisis moments where he had to. I don't know if I could call it crisis moments, but like everybody has to go through, I guess, through this moment so that they could just understand why they do what they do, which is great. I think everybody has to come to this life purpose through their rational thinking, through not through some sort of blind faith, but also like rationally thinking about their lives, why they're doing certain things, and why they want to dedicate their time to this and that. Uh, and then another message we got from you is if you don't purify your heart, you'll eventually do something bad. You either try to do good or I mean, people have to choose one or the other, right? They'll eventually end up choosing something. So keep learning, keep growing. Muslim business world is underserved. There's an opportunity. It's a 3 trillion uh, US dollars market at the moment. It's growing super fast due to the population growth, I guess, and Muslim people are becoming more business savvy, I guess, in many parts of the world, which is amazing. Even in Uzbekistan, I could see there's a lot of startups popping up. Uh, and Muslim, sorry, if I win, it doesn't mean you have to lose. I love the message. If I win, it doesn't mean you have to lose in this infinite game. We have a potential good in us, and we have to realize this potential good. Uh, and I love your I love the goals that you're trying to pursue. 10 unicorns within the next 5 to 10 years. Wish you best of luck in that. May God give you all the strength, all the power.
Thank you.
And then one of the messages I loved is first motion and then emotion. You can't just always like keep looking for some sort of passion that the mass media tells you. It's just first you take an action, you try out, and then it gives you the sense of direction. I mean, you get the sense of direction as you go. And then yeah, and one of the books that you recommended is Factfulness. Feel free to take note. And beautiful people see beautiful things. I love the message. If you see bad things in the world, make sure you purify your heart, work on yourself. There's a lot of good out there in the world, and yeah, I enjoyed the interview, and hopefully that was a good conclusive statement. And any final thoughts you want to share, feel free.
Yeah, there are two things. The first is for those of you who want to have any questions, I think connect with me on LinkedIn. If you have anything I could help, I will be more than happy. If you want to have questions or you need help, specifically what we discussed, marketing to a Muslim audience, etc., on LinkedIn. And also, thank you, Khasan, for you guys, your team as well, for putting this together and sharing. I think sharing our network, right? What we all of us are doing and how we can help. Do you remember we always discussing? We didn't know we should do it in Uzbek or English, but we end up doing it in English as well. But I think there are a lot of maybe in Uzbekistan, a lot of people who may benefit from this in Uzbek as well. Well, we don't know. But anyway, I wish we could do it as well. But I think this is for the mainly English. So thank you guys for your team who are putting this together and helping and sharing each of our experience. So we get to know each other. We'll come to know, and hopefully we'll end up doing something good as well together.
Yeah, absolutely.
As your name, the name says Khasan, right? The Khasan, it means good.
Yeah. Sorry, I just wanted to point out this last question. I think it's forward to us. What is the reason of doing interviews in English language Uzbek diaspora friendly? Well, I mean, we live in the global world, right? The main language in the world is English, and we want to encourage people not only in Uzbekistan, but not only abroad, but in Uzbekistan to be able to speak English so that they can become part of this global business world. We don't want to, we want the Uzbek community to be knowledgeable, to know the languages, but for that we need people like Maruf and the people that we invited so far to become a role model that can imitate. We want more role models. We want more people to inspire the younger generation, and I think the only way for the next generation of any community, not only Uzbek community, to grow is being able to speak English, to communicate English, and most of the world's knowledge is being written in English, and we want to be a motivator. That's the reason why we do Uzbek English content as opposed to Uzbek content. But we hope to eventually create some Uzbek content as well. And yeah, there were so many things we could have discussed, obviously, but we leave it for the next meeting, hopefully. It's been a great pleasure to have you today, Maruf, and I hope our viewers have enjoyed the conversation as well. Yeah, absolutely. And I enjoyed the conversation myself. Thanks
so much.
Thanks for your time.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.